something wrong?
I've been drafted.
Into the Army?
No, into the vice principal's office.
Oh, then the board okayed Mr. Kaufman's program, and you're the man.
Right.
Uh-oh. You're gonna have to work in the same office with Gil Casey.
Well, it's not a perfect world, you know.
Out of all those applicants, they picked you?
Before you're both overcome with gratitude, I better tell you that the board approved my plan, but they didn't approve my budget. That means...
that I can learn administration, but only on my own time.
Sorry. I know that carrying a full load of classes and spending all your free periods in the vice principal's office isn't exactly heaven. You can pass on it. I wish you wouldn't.
When do we start?
Well, you're free first period this morning.
Fine.
Excuse us, please. Let me give you a little bit of free advice that they gave to me when I went into administration. Never take free advice.
I don't think you'll have trouble with many of the forms. Probably best I just let you find your own way with them and then answer any questions.
Fair enough.
Now, a couple of tips on the care and feeding of the animals from the vice principal's point of view. For openers, everyone who comes in here is going to lie.
Everybody.
Well, it's the safest presumption to make. That way you're not disappointed when they do lie, and it gives you a kick when they don't. You know where you are, and the kids know where they are when they come in. Well, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, Steve. Vice principal's office. You want to take this one, Pete?
What happened to you, Steve?
Mrs. Russell sent me.
Who punched you in the mouth, Steve?
Nobody.
Somebody punched you in the mouth. Don't tell me nobody punched you in the mouth.
Have you seen the nurse yet? You go see her and then come back.
No, it's promised. Where do you think you're going, Steve?
Well, Mr. Dixon said...
I sent him to the nurse.
Well, if Mr. Dixon sent you to the nurse, what are you standing around for? Move it. And shut the door behind you. One of two kids gave Steve that fat lip. Either Mike Budacek or... Oh, no. It had to be Mike. Sidney transferred to Clymer High on Friday.
How can you be so sure?
Well, you'll see. It might be a good move to have Mike out in the waiting room when Steve comes back, if you don't mind a suggestion. Confrontation saves a lot of time. Schneider, go find Mike Budacek and tell him I want him. Okay, who's next?
I guess I am.
In. Who's next after that? Come on, Fred.
You vice principal now, Mr. D?
Just learning the job? Why are you here?
I cut English yesterday.
Why?
His attendance records are in the file, Pete. Shall we dance around, or you want to get right down to the nitty-gritty, Fred? Oh, what's the story?
What story?
Ted, wait outside till I call you. And shut the door behind you.
I cussed out Mr. Lemon. I'm guilty. Give me the detention slip.
What did you call him?
You know. Well, I always call him.
You think that's hip, calling a teacher that? Is that smart?
No. But it's true. You want me to lie?
Oh, you're terrific. Really terrific. Wiseacre Fred, real hotshot. What do you suppose happens if I suspend you?
Nothing. What can happen? Well, man comes down here. Big deal. You're not really going to call my father.
What do you care, right? Big deal, right? You'll just come down and we'll have a little talk.
Well, I'll apologize to Mr. Lemon.
Go home, Fred. And bring your mother with you tomorrow. You're being suspended.
Okay.
School would be better off without Fred.
You look like a kid running a bluff to me.
Well, he's a troublemaker, small time. But he can disrupt a class as fast as a stink bomb in a trash can.
Gil, you can't just throw out every kid who causes a little static.
Why not? Oh, I know the rules say we can't, but why not? That kid is a thief. He's stealing time from all the other kids in the class. What happened to Ted?
I sent him to the waiting room.
Did you see his attendance records?
Yeah. Makes every class but English. 13 cuts out of 15 classes.
Yep. He cut off his nose to spite his own face. That kid blew a full 4-year scholarship at a major university with that little number. All he needed was a B in English and he was in. And now zilch.
Oh, he still has a chance. It's only midterm.
How do you figure? He's getting an F for midterm. Even if he gets all A's for the rest of the year, it'll only average out to a final C. I've got to check some files. You want him back in?
Thanks.
Ted, inside.
Ted, you want to tell me why you keep cutting English?
Well, it's dumb. Okay, we had a book report to do, but I didn't get the book read, so I cut the class, figuring I'd finish the book that day and write the report that night and bring it in the next day. Well, I didn't do it, so I cut the class again, and again, and again. Here I am.
Did you talk to Mr. Schuler about it?
He said I should come back to class.
And?
No and. He said I might pass with a D if I worked hard.
Well, did you explain to him how important it was for you to get a B?
Yeah, I told him. He said I should have thought of that before I cut the classes.
He's right.
Well, I'm not blaming him.
Let me talk to him. You come back this evening. No, you better make that tomorrow, because I might not see him until then. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Dixon.
Okay.
I don't get another one in for a minute, Pete. I want you to hear this. You know Mr. Dixon, don't you, Frank?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Dixon.
You mean good afternoon, Mr. Dixon, right, Frank? You've been late how many mornings this month so far?
Well, I don't know. A couple.
9, Frank.
Well, that's a lot.
That's very observant, Frank. Now, explain to Mr. Dixon why you were late this morning.
Well, the bus was late.
Tell him why.
Well, some guys... well, you know how, when the bus stops, people go out the back doors? Well, the bus was crowded, and some of the guys like to hold the doors open and let other guys sneak on, without having to pay. So, well, the bus driver gets all uptight and he shoves through the bus trying to, find the guys who snuck on. And, well, by the time he's done, the bus is late. You can't hunt for the guys and drive the bus at the same time. And so, I'm late.
Frank, I talked to the bus driver, and he gave me a description of the kid that's been holding the doors open. You're him, Frank.
I don't even stand near the doors. But usually I get a seat.
What's it going to be, Frank? Shall I call your parents, or do you admit to holding the door open?
Listen, both my parents work.
It's your choice.
Okay, it's me. I won't do it again, and I won't be late again either.
Get to class, Frank. When I said that everyone that comes in here lies, I wasn't excluding myself.
You mean the bus driver didn't describe Frank?
Right. He doesn't know who was holding the door open.
Well, maybe it wasn't Frank. That kid would have admitted to anything to keep you from calling his parents.
Exactly. I lie, and he gets to school on time.
But what happens if he's late again?
He goes home and comes back with his parents. Put a check, you get in here. Steve, you too.
This time, I'll watch.
Okay, but jump in anytime. Now, who punched you in the mouth, Steve?
Nobody. I already told you.
I know you did it, Mike. Why?
He ought to know if anybody hit him in the mouth, and he just
I
said
have a witness.
Okay, I hit him. Guys hit guys sometimes.
You're stupid telling him. No kidding, Mike.
Why'd you hit him, Mike?
Because he called me stupid like he did just then. Last time, I hit him in the mouth.
You hit a kid who wears glasses just because he called you that?
Yeah, I got a temper, okay? But it's improving because I didn't hit him now.
What do you want, points because you didn't hit him now? You could have put out his eye. He wears glasses, Mike.
Oh, no, I didn't hit him in the glasses. I hit him in the mouth.
Miss Johnson needs some help, really.
What's the matter?
There's a boy, Tom Whalum. He used to go here. He's in Miss Johnson's room.
I'd call the police. What are you going to do, Pete?
Go find out what's wrong.
Namaste style is going 100% hard.
It's high. 5 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Let's go. We're not taking a breather.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's hell.
Liv, I know, push.
It's blood, sweat, and tears, aches, pains, crying.
We have to push ourselves to be great.
Bama State Style is coming to Aspire Tuesday, January 10th at 8 p.m. only on Aspire.
Let's do it again.
Now, lash like a boss. New Big Shot Mascara from Maybelline, New York. Big Shot bristles, hold more. For fully loaded lashes, Big Shot volume. See it, believe it. Maybelline's Big Shot. Make it happen. Maybelline, New York.
I'm Hall of Famer Jerry West, and my life is basketball. But that doesn't stop my AFib from leaving me at a high risk of stroke. That'd be devastating. I took warfarin for over 15 years until I learned more about once daily Xarelto, a latest generation blood thinner. Then I made the switch.
Xarelto significantly lowers the risk of stroke in people with AFib not caused by a heart valve problem. It has similar effectiveness to warfarin. Warfarin interferes with vitamin K and at least 6 blood clotting factors. Xarelto is selective, targeting one critical factor of your body's natural clotting function. For people with AFib currently well managed on warfarin, there is limited information on how Xarelto and warfarin compare in reducing the risk of stroke. Like all blood thinners, don't stop taking Xarelto without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of a blood clot or stroke. While taking, you may bruise more easily, and it may take longer for bleeding to stop. Xarelto may increase your risk of bleeding if you take certain medicines. Xarelto can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling. If you have had spinal anesthesia while on Xarelto, watch for back pain or any nerve or muscle-related signs or symptoms. Do not take Xarelto if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. Tell your doctor before all planned medical or dental procedures. Before starting Xarelto, tell your doctor about any conditions such as kidney, liver, or bleeding problems.
To help protect yourself from a stroke, ask your doctor about Xarelto.
Insurance changes? Xarelto has you covered.
Medical alert for breast cancer patients. If you or someone you love underwent chemotherapy with Taxotere and suffered permanent hair loss, call Guardian Legal Network to speak with an experienced lawyer now. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Attention those implanted with a hernia surgical mesh. If you have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement, listen closely. Some have experienced infection, chronic pain, mesh failure, and other complications after being implanted with a hernia mesh device. Because of this, some of these mesh devices have been recalled by the FDA, but devices are still being used and may cause serious complications. If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. If you or a loved one have experienced any of these issues after the implantation of a physio mesh or a selection of other common hernia meshes, your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-572-1140.
Pet peeves about my wife. So my wife is an analyzer and I'm not. Analyzers are very specific about the details, and I actually neglect the details. I don't know, it's a pet peeve. It's something that's a growth area for me, and I'm glad she's around because she pushes me there.
It drives me crazy when it's like you're gonna be late, but you don't say anything. That and when they try too hard. People try to impress with what's in their pocket versus impress with what's in their mind. That'd be my biggest pet peeve.
See more of the Graduates NYC on Aspire and Aspire.tv.
This young man just dropped in our class. He, Mr. Dixon, this is... Oh, I didn't get your name.
That's okay, Miss Johnson. I'll take care of it. Let's go.
You're not throwing me out.
Nobody said I was.
This is a public school.
Let's go out in the hall and talk. We're disturbing the class.
Well, what if I don't want to go out into the hall?
Then we'll send the class out in the hall and we'll stay in here. It's easier the other way around.
All I did was ask him if he went to school here, and he said no, but he wouldn't go to the office to register or anything.
Do you want me to ask the questions, or you just want to tell me?
I used to go here.
Did you graduate?
I screwed up. I got transferred to Payson.
Get bounced out of there, too?
I don't know. I only went twice.
You want to come back here?
Yeah. But Casey wouldn't let... Mr. Casey wouldn't let me back in here if I was on my knees.
Oh, so that's why you got so uptight when Miss Johnson suggested that you go down to the office.
I didn't know what to do, so I just stood there.
Well, come go down to the office with me. We'll see what we can do.
Well, if Casey said there's nothing you can do.
Let's find out.
Oh, Mr. Dixon?
Tom, go down to the office and wait for me. I'll be there in a minute.
Thank goodness. I would appreciate it if you'd take Mr. Darrow down to the vice principal's office and deposit him. He's been marching up and down in front of my classroom until the whole class is so distracted that no work can be accomplished.
I'll be glad to, Miss Foss.
Oh, thank you.
Go on, Billy.
You wouldn't have had this detention if you would have kept your dumb mouth shut. Listen, don't start in on me, Steve. I'm gonna bust you in the nose.
Hey, that's what...
Get homesick for that chair, Whalen?
I'm waiting for Mr. Dixon.
We're all. Move it. You're bad news, Whalen.
Wait a minute, Gil. I asked Tom to wait till I got back.
Pete, you don't know this character. Oh, Billy get caught wandering again?
Yeah, Miss Foss complained this time.
Inside, Billy.
It'll be just a minute.
Sure.
Okay, Billy. What's the story this time?
It's Jim again, sir.
Oh, don't give me that sir jazz. You can't con me with a phony sir. You don't mean it, and any half-wit can tell it's insincere. Now, what is the story?
I cut Jim.
Are you sick?
Kind of. I think I got the flu or something.
You don't have the flu. We'll tell you when you have the flu. Oh, will you handle this one, Pete? I'll go dig up Whalen's records. Maybe after you've taken a look at him, you'll see what a bad case he really is.
Look, Gil, I realize he's got a problem.
Say no more until you see his records.
Sit down, Billy. How many cuts in gym this semester?
About 10.
Why?
Just sick or something.
Did you go see a doctor?
You're straight, Mr. Dixon. If I tell you, you won't laugh or tell anybody, will you?
No.
I don't want to take my clothes off with the other guys.
Well, you can get over that.
No, I won't. Mr. Dixon, I got no underwear.
Listen, Billy, we have a fund here at Whitman for that sort of thing.
I don't want any charity. I'm looking for a job. I'll get my own stuff.
Well, maybe I can help. Come back and see me after school and I'll see what I can do.
I'm gonna level with you, Billy. I've had it with you and cutting Jim.
Hey, wait a minute, Gil.
Just a minute, Pete. Let me finish with him. I'm warning you, Billy. One more cut and you're gone. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Don't give me any more of that phony sir jazz. You want a grapefruit juice, Pete?
Do you realize what you just did to that kid?
Here. Cool off. These are Whalen's records.
I'm talking about Billy Durra.
Well, don't tell me. Let me guess. He told you that he liked you, then confided in you that he didn't have any underwear, that he was looking for a job so he could buy some, right? That kid has a lot of underwear. What he doesn't have is a love of calisthenics. He hates push-ups, so he cuts Jim. And he's a very good actor.
Boy, he had me fooled.
They all fool you. Billy, Pinder, Whalen out there. If you don't wise up, they're going to tear you apart. They're all losers. They're not worth zilch, believe me, Pete.
But we can't just write them off.
Come on, Pete, be realistic. The losers use up all the time. They foul up classes. They keep secretaries working overtime to keep up with the paperwork.
Gil, what is more important, a little paperwork or human beings?
The 5% that cause all the trouble use up all the time, if we can dump them. We've got a lot more time to give to the 95% that come to class to learn.
So we just push them outside, then what? We've got 5% on the streets without any education.
Schools do not make winners and losers. The winners come to learn, The losers come for a free ride and no rules. You take Whalum out there. He's no good. There is nothing you can do or I or anybody else for him. Don't you understand that?
Gentlemen, don't get me wrong. I think that the honest airing of views is the healthiest possible situation. If we give a little consideration to the volume level, I may have to go to a rock festival to get a little quiet.
Pete wants Tom Whalum to take another shot at us.
Why?
Because I think every student has the right to expect us to listen when he yells for help. Well, Tom Whalum is yelling right now.
You want to hold out a hand to him?
He'll bite it off. First the hand, then the arm, and then the shoulder. And then he'll steal your watch.
Interesting dilemma.
Oh, Mr. Kaufman, I think you better make the decision about Tom. I won't change my mind, and I don't think Gil will either.
I think that the man handling the case should make the decision. Whose case is it?
Well, it's mine.
You just learned the big lesson about our boss. If he gives you a job, you have the power to do it your way. You win, Pete. But I think you're going to regret it.
HBCU sports on Aspire is a slam dunk when Elizabeth City State takes on Chowan University. Live, all new games premiere Saturday, January 14th at 4 p.m. Only on Aspire. Stay connected with Aspire. Check out our new website at aspire.tv. Join the conversation on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Like us on Facebook. And share us using hashtag TVAspire.
Yeah. It's Wentworth. Alright. I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. I have an annuity, but I need cash now. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. Ooh. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. Call now.
Uh-oh, your car breaks down, it's out of warranty, and you're out of cash. This expensive fix is coming out of your pocket.
But not if you have a TOCO vehicle service contract. Deductible and plan limits apply.
TOCO specializes in affordable monthly payment vehicle service contracts that help get your car back on the road and can help save you hassle and money on covered repairs.
If your car warranty has expired or it's about to expire, it's time to call TOCO.
Just one big repair can break the bank, leaving you without your cash or your car.
You could spend over $400 for a water pump or $900 to replace the brakes.
Imagine paying $1,700 for a new transmission and over $2,000 for a blown engine.
And if you don't have the cash to fix it, you don't have a car. And without a car, how do you get to work?
With a TOCO plan, unexpected and costly repairs covered in the plan are paid for you. Deductible and plan limits apply.
Here's how it works. When your car breaks down, the plan provides roadside assistance that gets the car to the local licensed repair shop of your choice.
Then the claim support team deals directly with the repair shop, eliminating the headaches and the hassles.
And the plan pays the repair shop directly for the covered repairs. In no time, you could be down the road with savings in your pocket. Call TOCO right now, and our friendly service associates will help select the TOCO plan that's right for you. You'll get the coverage you need with a monthly payment that you can afford. Don't get stuck with car repair costs that you can't pay.
The call is free.
And TOCO peace of mind is priceless.
So get in your car and go
with TOCO.
Call 1-800-315-5283 for a free quote. That's 1-800-315-5283. Remember, the call and the quote are free. Again, that's 1-800-315-5283 or go to TOCOwarranty.com.
Everyone interprets a painting or a work of art in their own unique way. I don't want the piece or the work we create to just be a pretty image, ultimately. You know, it has to have some type of storyline so people can be like, okay, this is a deeper meaning to what I'm actually looking at, you know? You know, the process for me is creating a certain color scheme for the background that creates the mood without even starting the piece yet. And then I go to sketching my concept and working my concept and sketching it with the paint, editing with the paint, and using water to erase some of it, and sketching again with the paint, and then creating on top of that with a final layer. It changes throughout the process. And that's actually a problem I had a while back, in school, was that I had a certain way I would create all of my artwork, and I would stick to it. And I wasn't allowing myself room to be messy and to be chaotic in art, because art has no rules. I'm John Moody, and I aspire.
My sister's a nurse, and she taught me all that biology.
Go on, Lee.
Well, anyways, I know the answers to most of the questions, and I put my hand up. But he never calls on me.
Who do you have?
Well, Carter. Well, anyways, I put up my hand, but he never calls on me. Unless I don't have my hand up. Then he calls on me. He tries to make me look stupid. He thinks that's funny.
Go on.
Well, anyways, he did it again this morning. And I was really uptight. I mean, I was really boiling. And I said, well, I don't remember tibia. Well, you know that bone, tibia? Yeah, well, I said, I don't remember where it is. And that was the question. And then all the guys around me start to laugh, And I said, I'd like to throw that skeleton out the window. And Carter says, oh, yeah? Well, I'd like to see you try.
And?
And I threw the skeleton out the window. Well, it was easy. It wasn't heavy.
Hey, go back to class, Lee, and see me later. We'll see if we can straighten it out. Move it, Lee.
Oh, I'll pay for the skeleton.
Oh, you bet you will. Well, that's the first. That's the very first original problem that's come up in 5 years, maybe 10.
Well, it wasn't his fault. Carter drew the line. He just had to step over it.
If I had a buck for every problem that came up because a teacher dares a student, I could retire and take 10 people along with me. Now, probably the best thing to do is tell Kaufman and see if he'll talk to Carter. Might help.
Well, it's something we agree on.
Don't con yourself, Pete. What we've got is a shaky-armed truce at best.
That's something else we agree on. Well, I got a class.
I should be so lucky. See you later.
Right.
Vice Principal Casey. No, Mrs. Tedesco, I haven't been keeping Ralph in after school all week. As a matter of fact, Ralph hasn't been in school all week.
Breaking tonight, President Obama has now weighed in after police decide to file hate crime charges against the suspects accused of a horrifying act in Chicago. But we may only be seeing the start of the uproar over a video of a mentally disabled young man being tortured. We brought this to you last night. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. 4 people, including 2 sisters, ranging from ages 18 to 24, 3 were 18, 1 was 24, are now being charged with hate crimes for their role in the despicable attack, in which one of them decided to pull out a camera and broadcast it on Facebook Live. The 30-minute video in itself is disturbing enough, and police say this poor young man's ordeal likely lasted upwards of 5 hours. But a lot of folks were caught off guard by the fact that police were initially suggesting hate crime charges were not a guarantee, considering scenes like this from the video in question.
Donald Trump, white people, boy. No.
Goof.
Yeah, man.
My sister been with y'all.
Thinking it's like,
oh, man. My sister said this not funny, y'all.
But it went on for hours. Hours. And the list of things they did to this young man is disgusting. Chicago PD today defended their decision to delay the charges, saying they just didn't want to let their emotions get ahead of the facts when it comes to the hate crime charges. And while President Obama is calling the case, quote, despicable in a new interview, despicable is the word, he's insisting that race relations have gotten better and that this kind of thing can, in some ways, have a silver lining?
I promise you, for the most part, race relations have gotten better. But I think what we've seen over the last several years when it comes to tensions between police and communities, the internet, horrific hate crimes of the sort that we appear to have seen
on
in this
Facebook.
recent,
Yeah, what is your reaction to that, actually, to that Facebook video?
It's terrible. We don't benefit from pretending that racism doesn't exist and hate doesn't exist. We don't benefit from not talking about it. The fact that these things are being surfaced means we can solve them.
Attorneys Mark Eiglarsh and Scott Bolden are here on The Crime in a moment. Katie Pavlich and Julie Roginski will join us on the political fight as well. But first, we start with Trace Gallagher, live in our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
Megan, after being held for days and tortured for hours, police say the mentally disabled victim was only able to escape because a neighbor who lives below his captors threatened to call police because of the noise. And when the attackers went down to confront the neighbor, the 18-year-old victim ran out of the house and was soon spotted by police. Despite the brutal Chicago weather, the victim, who has not been named, was wearing a tank top and sandals. Investigators say the suspects, 2 men and 2 sisters, confessed to the crimes. Watch.
They admit that they were beating him, kicking him. They made him drink toilet water. And then obviously the video where they're cutting a piece of his scalp.
And after cutting his scalp, the attackers laughed about how much he was bleeding. During the 30-minute live Facebook stream, you could see the victim with his wrists and neck bound, his mouth taped shut, cowering against the wall, with voices repeatedly shouting, F Donald Trump, F white people. The victim was also asked about black people. Watch.
You don't need. Kiss the floor right now. Kiss the floor. Huh? Kiss the floor. I'll kick you in your bro. Kiss the floor. Say I love black people. I love black people. Say I love black people. I love black people.
Chicago police now say that hate crime charges were never in question, but just yesterday said they hadn't determined, quote, whether this is sincere or just stupid ranting and raving. Reports on social media link the suspects to the Black Lives Matter movement, but Chicago police say they have found no connection. The victim told police he went to school with one of the attackers and that the incident began as a play fight that escalated into what the Chicago mayor calls sickening and the president calls despicable. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now to debate it, Mark Eiglarsh, a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, and Scott Bolden, an attorney and the former chairman of the D.C. Democratic Party. Good to see you both. So,
good evening.
Mark, you know, this, it seems like a clear hate crime. If you look at, you know, it's been charged as one now, and I don't see what the debate is. It's a hate crime if you target somebody because of their race or because of their mental disability, and he was mentally challenged, and they specifically reference his race in the video.
I agree with you, Megan. I tried to take the other side. Let's keep an open mind. I looked at it, and I don't think one single fact makes it conclusatory. I think you've got to look at each separate fact. I think that the racial slur, coupled with the other facts here, give enough for prosecutors to charge this as a hate crime. And then you look at the fact that he's weak. He's mentally disabled. It's right there in the statute. Makes it very clear. If you select your victim because of that, then it's a hate crime. I don't see the dispute.
What's the argument that it isn't, Scott?
Yeah, here's the thing. While the video is reprehensible, the fact of the matter is, as a criminal defense attorney, I'm more interested in what's happening not on that video. Remember, there's a prior relationship. Very hard to prove a crime when there's a prior relationship.
No, it's not.
Well, yes, it is, because
it's hard to prove a crime, or it's hard to prove a hate crime?
It's hard to prove both if there's a prior relationship in this regard. It's not hard to prove a crime here.
They tortured the man.
Okay.
They made him drink out of the toilet. They sliced his neck.
You're absolutely right. But was the impetus and what triggered that crime, was he targeted because he had a mental health issue, or was because he was white? They picked one another up.
Now you're on to whether
to
it's a hate crime. Now, I'm trying to make a distinction here, because you're saying it's hard to charge a crime, and I submit to you, having practiced law for almost a decade, it's not hard at all. They nailed it. Aggravated kidnapping, battery, and on the charges went. The only question is the hate crime edition.
I don't disagree with the charges, but is it a hate crime? Was he kidnapped? Was he assaulted because he was white or mentally challenged? Or was it because there was a play fight and some other reason?
All
you
right.
still got to prove
now
criminal
you're onto
intent.
something. Okay, now you're onto something, Mark, because yes, they mentioned his race. Yes, they mentioned Donald Trump. Yes, he was mentally challenged, but they were friends, and apparently they had some sort of an altercation, a fight. I don't know if it was verbal or physical that preceded the 5-hour torture. And so the question will be whether it was that fight and whatever that was about that led to this event.
Absolutely, and the arguments that he makes are relevant ones in front of a jury. But let's be real for a second. Look at these facts. Where do you think a jury's going to lean when it comes to deciding which way they should go? Whether
Well, does
they
it
should
matter?
count
Let me
this
ask
as
you
a
this,
hate
Mark.
crime
Does
or
it
not?
why does it matter if they charge him with a hate crime? Because he's looking at 30 years, and all four of these people
It's a great question.
are in prison for 30 years potentially if they got convicted.
It's a great question. People need to understand they're going to be charged with doing these abhorrent acts like kidnapping and aggravated battery, and they're looking at decades in prison for that. The hate crime merely elevates the potential sentence that could be imposed. It doesn't, we're having this debate just to see if they can get more time because it's a hate crime.
But realistically,
really,
Scott,
even if they find that it's not.
Okay, we don't know anything about priors or anything like that with these three. Three are 18, so they were juveniles up until last year. One's 24. So what realistically, if they were to be convicted on this sort of litany of charges, what kind of they're not going to jail for 30 years. So what would it be?
Well, you got if they prove the hate crime, the felony 2 and the felony 3 could get 3 to 7 more years or 5 to 9 more years on the Illinois law, and so that's really what you're going to be looking at. Now, the reality is they've got to prove the crime first, and then the sentence enhancements of the hate crimes are what get tacked on by the judge or the jury.
They're
so
going
they've got to get that
plea.
conviction.
This is going to be pled out. I mean, there's just. Look at the video. It's 30 minutes long.
Don't be so sure it's a slap on the wrist. They're going to get time. They're going to get time. They should.
They are. But look for 1 or 2 to plead out and corroborate against the others because that's going to strengthen the case. Look for that.
Gotta go.
Going to be watching for a while.
Good to see you both. Well, some folks in the media are also being blamed for the uproar over this story, with one writer suggesting that the industry may need to do some serious soul searching in the wake of what we've seen written about this case. New York Post staffer Seth Mandel was referring to what he called the string of fake pro-Trump hate crimes, where people say that Trump supporters went out there to beat down Trump non-supporters, saying that those are now giving way to monstrous, real anti-Trump hate crimes. The Washington Post columnist Callum Borcher is now taking some heat for framing the story as the convergence of what he called pro-Trump narratives. And one panelist on MSNBC seemed to be suggesting that these suspects were too stupid to be criminals.
Well, I mean, you look at it on the surface, you think, kids can make some really poor decisions from time to time. But because they made so many errors here, if they were truly trying to be criminal, to obviously broadcast your crime is not a smart thing to do.
Katie Pavlich is a Fox News contributor and townhall.com news editor, and Julie Roginski is also a Fox News contributor and a Democratic analyst. Good to see you both.
Great to see you. Hi, Megan.
Let me just start with Callum Borcher, I think he's actually usually great in the Washington Post. This one he's taken a lot of heat for because he's suggesting that if the attackers had been white and the victim had been black, that the incident would have conjured America's ugly history of white mobs committing violence against black people. But there's no parallel history of the reverse happening on anything remotely approaching the same scale. And so people feel that he was diminishing the seriousness here and that this could be more easily dismissed and not put into a greater narrative given this country's history. Your thoughts on it, Katie?
Well, it does diminish the horrible situation at hand, and it goes and plays into the narrative that a lot of people in the liberal media, leftists, believe that hate crimes can only be committed by white people against minorities, which obviously is not the case in this situation. For him to say that this is pro-Trump narratives wrapped up in a horrible incident, when in this video they're specifically talking about being anti-Trump, saying that very racist, anti-white things to this mentally disabled young man doesn't add up with the facts, and it just feeds the narrative that they actually do believe that hate crimes can only be committed by white people, which is not true.
Callum's talking about, he says a Huffington Post survey conducted in November shows 45% of Trump voters believe white people face a lot of discrimination. Just 22% of Trump voters said the same about black people facing a lot of discrimination. And he feels that this worldview of many Trump voters is not supported by the data, but now they can find support in this one awful video.
You know, I don't want to diminish or feed into a larger narrative about this video from either the right or the left. What happened to me, I'm not a lawyer certainly, and I thought your previous segment laid out the controversies to whether this is or is not a hate crime. To me, from a human perspective, it is a hate crime for the many reasons that people have outlined in covering the story. And so let's not diminish by saying, as Katie did, leftists or anybody else, I am from the left, I am as liberal as it gets. But on this particular issue, to me, this is a hate crime. And it's a hate crime when somebody's saying the horrible things that they said with racial overtones. Apparently, there were chants of go vote Trump or
but
this
the question
anti-Trump.
is, but the question is whether the media would be reacting differently to the tape, Katie, if the races of the assailants and the victim were reversed. Having said that, there has been a lot of coverage of this, but the critics claim not as much as it would have been otherwise.
Well, they're not as much as it would have been otherwise. And let's go back to the beginning of when this story broke. Okay, so after the election, BuzzFeed ran this story of 28 alleged hate crimes in the post-Trump election era with very little evidence, very few police reports filed as a result of these hate crimes of pro-Trump supporters against people who maybe voted for Hillary Clinton. And yet here we are today, and the original story from the AP didn't mention the races of the attacker, the alleged attackers, or the victim, and that certainly wouldn't have been the case. And it does feed into this narrative that white supremacy is prevalent in America, that we've heard over the past six months to a year, that only white people can commit hate crimes against minorities. It can never be the reverse. And so it certainly would have been painted differently. And I doubt that we would have seen headlines like, oh, this situation that we've seen play out on Facebook, this horrific crime, is just a compilation of anti-Hillary Clinton sentiment. I mean, come on.
Go ahead, Julia. Give your last word.
You know, I mean, this whole woe is me. The New York Times mentioned the race of these assailants. Every mainstream media outlet that I've read that has covered this has mentioned it.
Not initially.
I don't know why the AP would do it. I'm telling you, I read the New York Times every day, and they mentioned it, and that's as mainstream as it gets. Look, don't try to somehow politicize this or make this some sort of woe is me conservatives issue. This, from every spectrum, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, we all agree this is an awful crime. I think it's a hate crime, maybe not legally, but morally, certainly it's a hate crime. The races have been mentioned tremendously. I just don't like the narrative of suddenly saying this is somehow woe is me, white people are getting oppressed, when this has nothing to do with it. It's an awful crime. Let's not diminish it by politicizing it.
Well, you could argue that the assailants politicized it with a reference to Donald
True.
Trump. But I mean,
absolutely
that's what got people
but we should
start
not
talking about. All right, guys, great to see you both. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Well, on the same day, America's intel chiefs went public with their case for how Russia, they say, interfered in the 2016 election. Former CIA director and veteran intelligence expert James Woolsey decided to resign from the Trump transition team. He's here to tell us why. Next. Plus, new reports that President Obama is leaving some legislative landmines for the Trump team. Oh, legislative landmines, you say. And Charles Krauthammer is here to detail the danger. Plus, the latest news about Hillary Clinton's political future. Yes, her political future. And the surprising role she is reportedly considering. Guess what she might run for? Brian Kilmeade has the scoop, and a busy night here on the Kelly File.
Patriots Day is one of the top 10 films of the year.
500,000 people watch the Boston Marathon.
We gotta find these guys before they do this to somebody else.
We're tracking reports. He's on his way to New York.
I need backup down here!
They messed with the wrong city.
Patriots Day. Rated R.
Every sip of Palm Wonderful Pure Pomegranate Juice unleashes powerful antioxidants. Humongous, hulking, free radical hammering antioxidants. Palm Wonderful. Crazy healthy.
Afoot and lighthearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me leading wherever I choose. The east and the west are mine. The north and the south are mine.
For lower back pain sufferers, the search for relief often leads here, here, or here. Today, there's another option, drug-free Aleve Direct Therapy, a TENS device with high-intensity power that uses technology once only available in doctors' offices. Its wireless remote lets you control the intensity and helps you get back to things like this, or this, and back to being yourself. Aleve Direct Therapy. Find yours in the pain relief aisle.
Ever try something so good you get hungry just thinking about it? At Red Lobster's Big Festival of Shrimp, get your perfect pair for just $15.99. Choose 2 of 6 new and classic shrimp creations, like bold new firecracker red shrimp. Exploding with flavor? Yeah, they are. Or try new creamy shrimp linguine and new sweet bourbon brown sugar grilled shrimp. Flavors like these are big. And for just $15.99, they can't last. So hurry in.
Now, catch a brand new Watters World every weekend. The outrage, opinion, and insight. No one covers America like Jesse. Watters World every weekend, starting Saturday.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Now on demand.
Can I try another take? That seemed perfect to me.
Discover the true story of the world's worst singer.
She can be a little flat. It's going very well.
You don't have to be good.
The lady is a lesson in courage, and we love her.
To be great.
She defies medical science.
Florence Foster Jenkins. Rated PG-13. Order now on demand.
Check FiOS first for the newest releases to instantly rent or buy.
Breaking tonight, top U.S. intelligence experts doubling down on their assessment that Russia meddled in the 2016 elections in an unprecedented and wide-ranging operation. But the intel chiefs stopped short of saying why the Kremlin did it. Apparently, we're getting that next week. After weeks of anonymous leaks allegedly tying Russia to an attempt to throw the election to President-elect Donald Trump, the director of national intelligence, James Clapper, today walked right up to the edge. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge was there for all of it. She's live in Washington tonight with the very latest. Catherine?
Megan, no one testified on the record today that the Russian president was pulling the strings. No one said publicly the intent was to help Donald Trump win and make sure Hillary Clinton lost. But the nation's spy chief did confirm Russia wants to expand its influence.
The Russians are bent on establishing presence in the Western Hemisphere.
The witnesses said Russian interference was multifaceted, including the theft of the DNC and Clinton campaign emails, as well as fake news, but they never found evidence that the ballots were tampered with. Though they were pressed many times, the witnesses seemed to avoid calling out the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, by name, and they emphasized the meddling came from the top.
And the same conclusion with respect to the involvement of high-level Russian authorities is shared by all of these agencies?
Yes.
The president got a classified briefing today, and there is an unclassified version that should be public on Monday that's supposed to address who was behind the meddling and why.
Do you think in the report next week that you all will ascribe a motivation to Putin for the election attempt?
Yes, we will ascribe a motivation. I'd rather not, again, preempt the report.
Is ascertaining the motives, plans, and intentions of foreign leaders among the hardest tasks that we ask our intelligence services to perform.
It always has been.
Fox News has confirmed tonight that the classified report does identify who delivered the stolen emails to WikiLeaks. Congress was told today that Russian intelligence routinely masquerades as third parties and hides behind online personas to confuse the people who get the documents. The president-elect will get his briefing midday tomorrow, Megan.
Catherine, thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, joining us now, former CIA Director James Woolsey, who just hours ago resigned from President-elect Trump's transition team, where he was serving as a senior advisor. Mr. Woolsey is a veteran of 4 administrations and one of the nation's leading and most respected intelligence experts, too. Jim, good to see you. Thank you for being here tonight. So, good to see you, man. Why did you do that? Why did you resign?
Well, I didn't actually resign. What I said was that I wanted it known that I was not working on the transition. I had helped some on the campaign, and then during the transition I was doing, speaking mainly to the press and explaining the
but why was that important to you to make that distinction, to let people know that you didn't have the role that, that people were suggesting you did?
Well, the campaign was over, and I didn't want to have it when they announced me on television and so forth, I didn't want them to keep saying that I was a senior advisor on the transition, because I really wasn't. And I didn't think it was right to claim something that was not the case.
But the suggestion is by the Washington Post tonight that it wasn't just a matter of I wasn't, and they were saying it was a matter of he stopped using you, that you were not being, you had been excluded in recent weeks from discussions and intel matters, and that you felt that you were being misrepresented as an advisor when he wasn't using you. He was excluding you.
I didn't feel I was being misrepresented, but I was not really called upon to, go to meetings or participate in work on the transition. I spent a lot of time backgrounding the press on and on the record, talking to the press and explaining positions of the Trump organization, particularly on
the
national
Washington
security
Post tonight,
matters.
Phil Rucker is reporting that you were taken aback by this week's reports that Trump is considering revamping our intelligence framework. And then there was another person close to you who spoke to the Post who said you chafed at Trump's loose style on Twitter, given that you're a very principled diplomat. They're suggesting there's more to this than you're letting on tonight. Is that reporting accurate?
Well, I think it's important to realize that there are more than one way to reform intelligence, and I've been on this issue quite a bit for some time, since before 9/11, when I was faced back in the 25 years ago with the need to deal with some organizational matters for the intelligence community, and also more recently post 9/11. And I think the direction that the reforms have taken is not a good one. There are a lot of weaknesses and problems we can talk about sometime when you have time.
So do you support then Trump's reported plan to revamp the intelligence framework? He's actually denying that he's going to do that.
Depends where it goes. I think that this organization ought to, at least particularly for the clandestine services, look a lot more like the OSS than what it looks like today, which is a very bureaucratic structure, and it needs to have some changes made. I don't know what kind of changes that are being considered by Mr. Trump and his colleagues.
I just need to press you, Jim. I apologize, because you're a gentleman for coming on, but I do want to give you the chance. Are you challenging the reporting by the Washington Post tonight?
Well, no, I think they were focused on an important issue, which is what type of change is going to be proposed in the intelligence community's organization, especially by the Trump administration in 2 weeks. And I can't tell. What I can tell is that what I see now, that as a result of reforms over the last couple of years, I do not think is sound and needs some rather substantial attention.
Great to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you.
Tonight, new revelations about how this transition is really going and what the Obama administration is quietly leaving behind for Team Trump. They got a little surprise for Team Trump. Charles Krauthammer knows what it is. He's here next. Plus, should New York City be able to hide the identities of thousands of undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants, from the feds? That fight is just ahead.
So beautiful.
What should we call you?
Tom! Name it Tom. Studies show that Toms have the highest average earning potential over their professional lifetime. See?
Well, it's a girl.
Congratulations, 2 of my girls are Toms. I work for Ally. Finances are my thing. You know what? I'm gonna go give birth real quick and then we'll talk, okay?
Nice baby.
Let's go. Here comes Tom number 5.
Nothing stops us from doing right by our customers. Ally, do it right.
Woo! Look out!
You inherit lots of traits from your family. My ancestor, Lady Eleanor, made it big in textiles. My great-grandfather, Bernard, wrote existential poetry. And Uncle John was an explorer. I inherited their can-do spirit and their double chin. Now I'm going to do something about it.
Kybella is the first of its kind injectable treatment that destroys fat under the chin, leaving an improved profile. Kybella is an FDA-approved non-surgical treatment for adults with a moderate amount of fullness, or a bit more. Don't receive Kybella if you have an infection in the treatment area. Kybella can cause nerve injury in the jaw, resulting in an uneven smile or facial muscle weakness and trouble swallowing. Tell your doctor about all medical conditions, including if you have had or plan to have surgery or cosmetic treatments on your face, neck, or chin, have had or have medical conditions in or near your neck, or have bleeding problems. Tell your doctor about all medicines you take. The most common side effects are swelling, bruising, pain, numbness, redness, and areas of hardness in the treatment area. Save $100 on a treatment. Learn more at mykybella.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
LED, halogen, watts, lumens. I just need some light bulbs.
Light bulbs don't have to be confusing. We have all the answers and a huge selection.
The right bulbs are right in your neighborhood, like LEDs that last up to 10 years and offer 80% energy savings. Right now, during our best bulb sale of the season, get a 4-pack of 40 or 60-watt equivalent LEDs for just $6.99. That's less than $2 per bulb. Only at Ace, the place recognized by J.D. Power 10 years in a row.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
Anything meant to stand needs a stable foundation. A body without proper foot support can mean pain. The Dr. Scholl's kiosk maps your feet and recommends our custom-fit orthotic to stabilize your foundation and relieve foot, knee, or lower back pain from being on your feet. Dr. Scholl's.
You've always wanted to be able to leave something for your children or loved ones. How about leaving them a lifetime of financial security? It's the Publishers Clearinghouse $5,000 a week forever prize. Win, and you get $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. Leave a legacy for your family. Watch your mail or go to pch.com and enter. February 24th, you could win $5,000 a week forever.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit. Easy to say, not that easy to do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7. Channel 115.
Developing tonight with just 15 days to go until a peaceful transition of power. New questions on just how far the outgoing administration is willing to go when it comes to the incoming administration. Team Obama's recent spat of progressive policy moves is now prompting some to ask, is there a plan in place to undermine the Trump administration long after Inauguration Day? We've got Charles Krauthammer here on that. But first, Trace Gallagher reports on the growing tension in the two administrations. Trace?
Megan, the Democratic leader of the California Senate says when it comes to immigration policy, the environment, and criminal justice, Donald Trump is a, quote, clear and present danger to the prosperity of California. So now state lawmakers have hired former Attorney General Eric Holder to represent them in any legal fights against the federal government. For example, Donald Trump's vow to go after sanctuary cities that protect illegal immigrants. We should note Eric Holder is now with a D.C. law firm that specializes in fighting the feds. California lawmakers are paying Holder's firm $25,000 a month, but say they believe in the end he will save the state money. Critics say California's Democratic lawmakers, who control 2/3 of the state's legislature, forgot to mention the state's economy is still struggling and the public pension system is about $400 billion in debt. Here's what California GOP Congressman Darrell Issa had to say about his home state hiring Holder. Watch.
He's a bad choice, but apparently it's more of a political statement. Millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, spent on somebody who probably shouldn't have a law license any longer.
Meantime, while President Obama is spending his last days in office trying to cement his legacy and firmly establish his policies, come noon on January 20th, the then former president won't be riding off into the Texas sunset like his predecessor. Instead, the Obamas will be watching the new administration from just down the road in D.C., ostensibly to allow Sasha to finish high school. The Obamas will live in the exclusive Kalorama neighborhood. He'll be the first president to immediately remain in D.C. after leaving the White House since Woodrow Wilson left office in 1921. Vice President Joe Biden says he is leaving D.C., but he won't be quiet. Biden says he sees enormous challenges and opportunity ahead for Democrats and that he'll be on hand to help from the sidelines. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Joining us now, Fox News contributor and nationally syndicated columnist Dr. Charles Krauthammer. He's been watching the Obama White House unfold over the past 2 terms. So, Charles, what do you think?
Look, all of those things are true, but I think they are unconnected. What California's doing is taking, since it's overwhelmingly Democratic, they're taking a page from what Republicans did when they were out of power. They used the states, the attorneys general in the states, to go to the courts and to try to stop Obama in places where the Congress was unable to. And they succeeded in doing that on the environment and also on blocking his immigration order.
Right.
So I think the Democrats have decided we're now going to do the guerrilla warfare from the states. As for Obama, he's leaving office as a very young man, and he's been rejected by the country. He can see the Trump agenda, the Republican agenda in control of all branches, is prepared to systematically dismantle everything he did and make him a parenthesis in American history. So I think it's natural he'd want to stay and fight. And as for Biden, no one's been able to keep him quiet since 1979. So I'm not surprised by that news.
But what do you make of it? It is strange when you compare what George W. Bush did upon leaving office, because, you know, a pundit could have said the same thing about when he left, that President Obama was going to systematically dismantle the Bush agenda, that he had been clearly rejected and so on. But he didn't stick around Washington. Now granted, President Obama's got a young daughter in school and he wants her to finish. But the notion that this team, once they're out of office, is going to stay and continue fighting the will of the American people looks very different than what we saw 8 years ago.
Well, look at what Obama did today. He essentially wrote a letter justifying his 8 years in office. When presidents leave office, they generally don't make a plea on their own behalf. It's beneath them. I mean, Eisenhower gave a farewell address. It was about the country. Obama is now going to give one next week. I guarantee you it'll be about himself. So this really is a matter of, narcissism is probably overstating it, but he says his own reputation at stake. I don't think W cared as much. He figured history will decide how he did in the end, and he doesn't have to meddle in that. And he also, I think, as a matter of sort of decency, you let your successor operate, see how he does, and don't heckle him from the sidelines. I'm not sure Obama plays from the same playbook.
So you talk about legacy, right? That they're worried about the legacy now, and if they, I guess, get the right messaging out there, they think they can shape it at this point in his candidacy, in his presidency. And we saw some of this from Valerie Jarrett, the president's top advisor this past weekend, who pretty shockingly said this. Listen.
The president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done anything to embarrass himself. But that's not because he's being someone other than who he is. That's because that's who he is. That's who they are. And I think that's what really resonates with the American people.
No, I'm like, just take one, just like off the top of my head, Benghazi, right? Benghazi, where they were. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan, which was just an out-and-out falsehood that resulted in outrage and millions of people being misled. I mean, the IRS, the targeting journal, I mean, you could go on.
Well, it is a very long list. But I think Jarrett was adopting the Clintonian definition of scandal, which means sexual hijinks and stealing the silver from the White House as you leave.
Right, that is literally what happened in the Clinton administration. You raise a good point.
It literally happened with the Clintons. I can assure you it will not happen with the Obamas. By that standard, this has been scandal-free. And you got to give them credit. 8 years without the kind of rumors and innuendo that you generally get about the personal conduct of the president. They have been fairly clean on that. But when you're talking about assaults on the Constitution, stepping over the separation of the powers, saying if the Congress won't act, I will, which is a contradiction of the whole idea of a limited executive, those are scandalous and they are far more damaging. So I give her a pass on the minor point, but on the major point, it is truly astonishing to hear it, and I'll bet you she believes it.
I mean, you know, it's four dead people in Benghazi, Libya, who were left there with inadequate security for what the U.S. Congress suggested were political reasons on the anniversary of 9/11, including an ambassador. I mean, it's somewhat scandalous, but we'll leave it to the American people to have the final judgment on that. Charles, great to see you.
My pleasure.
Still ahead, the new reports surrounding Hillary Clinton and why her political career could be taking a new turn. Guess what she might run for? Brian Kilmeade has that. Plus, a fight underway in New York City over the records of thousands of people who are here illegally and a new move to destroy all of those records. Why? Guy Benson and Robert Zimmerman are here to tell you next.
Traffic is backed up. There's an accident on the freeway that hasn't been cleared yet. Roads are not too bad.
When heartburn hits, fight back fast with Tums Smoothies. It starts dissolving the instant it touches your tongue and neutralizes stomach acid at the source. Smoothies, only from Tums.
Hey, I'm thinking about switching my car insurance. Who do you have?
I really have to call Amica.
If you ask around, pretty soon you'll learn there are auto insurance customers and then there are Amica customers.
Do some research and you'll be impressed.
This is it. I'm calling Amica for a quote.
Good rate?
Good everything.
We make it easy to save money too with our long list of auto insurance discounts. Get your free quote now.
Welcome to Amica. This is helpfulness. Insured.
In for new razor? Yeah, I don't want to spend too much. I don't really need anything fancy. Well, right here's about your only option. Is it any good? Come on. What do you expect for a couple bucks? Lobster? I'll get the paperwork started.
Hey, man, don't settle for that shave when you can ride off on this for about the same price.
Try any amazing razor for $1 with free shipping at dollarshaveclub.com.
America's cops are now live.
We're live with police units in 6 states on this Friday night.
Get out, get out! Bro, I'm gonna catch you! Step out of the vehicle!
Holy cow, man!
Put the rifle down!
Why are you bleeding? Whose blood is it?
These are the calls that they get here.
Let me see your hands.
Get out, get out, get out!
Please, firstborn!
Only the strong survive here. Live PD. Check your local listings on A&E.
I'd lose 10 or 20 pounds and gain it right back. I've tried the gimmicky diets.
It was hard to say that I needed help.
Everyone's challenge is different. That's why our dedicated consultants design your program to fit your life.
I absolutely needed a coach, and that's what I found in Belen.
She was real. She was honest.
She changed my life.
Call Jenny Craig now and lose 20 pounds for $20. Research proves with Jenny Craig you can lose 3 times more weight than dieting on your own. Plus, you can get support even after you reach your goal. No more meal replacements or sacrifices. Enjoy healthy, ready-to-go versions of your favorite foods.
I get to eat all this, and I'm going to lose weight.
Call now and get $50 in free food. You can even meet with your consultant right over the phone. Plus, get free shipping or pickup.
Go for Jenny Craig. It works.
Call 1-800-49-JENNY and lose 20 pounds for $20. Plus, get $50 in free food. Hurry, this offer won't last long.
From the world headquarters of Fox News, it's The Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
Developing tonight, accusations that city officials in New York are threatening our national security with a move designed to protect thousands of those who are here illegally from ever being identified by the Trump administration. Fox's David Lee Miller has the report.
Megan, New York City officials were in court today, explaining why the city has the right to destroy records connected to its municipal ID program. The program was created under the administration of Democrat Mayor Bill de Blasio to help city residents who have no form of recognized identification. Most applicants are undocumented immigrants. A provision of the 2-year-old law creating the ID program allowed the city to purge ID data and documents at the start of this year. The delete option was designed to prevent a future Republican administration from using that information to deport undocumented immigrants. 2 state lawmakers, however, have gone to court demanding that the city ID card data not be destroyed. They argue it's not about immigration, but criminal activity.
This case has nothing to do with immigration. It has everything to do with the ID NYC program and the fact that the cards are so scantily vet, and then in conjunction with the ability to obtain bank accounts, it becomes a major security risk.
According to city records, since the ID program got underway, there have been 102 cases of likely fraud related to obtaining the ID cards. Mayor de Blasio is optimistic the city's right to delete applicant documentation will be upheld in court.
We're very confident in our position. Our city law is abundantly clear. It went unchallenged for 2 years. It's quite clear about the timelines, the methodology, and the need to protect people's confidentiality. And I think protection of confidentiality is a very strong, privacy rights are a very strong part of our law.
New York's Deputy Commissioner for Counterterrorism testified today that the city's municipal IDs are of little use to those who want to commit acts of terror. He told the court that terrorists recently arrested had in their possession more widely accepted forms of identification. Megan?
David Lee Miller, thank you. Naturally, right? Joining us now with more, Guy Benson, a political editor of townhall.com and a Fox News contributor, and Robert Zimmerman, a Democratic strategist.
Good to
right,
be
of
with
course,
you.
the terrorists, somehow they managed to get their hands on passports and driver's licenses and, birth certificates that look like they're legit. But that doesn't answer the question about whether it's appropriate here, Guy, for the city to start destroying the documentation that fills in the picture when it comes to these cards.
Yeah, and so I think this is the type of story, Megan, that causes millions of Americans to question the priorities of some of their elected officials. Not only is the city of New York handing out documentation to illegal immigrants, which can be controversial unto itself, they're going out of their way to destroy the public record and wipe away the paper trail about who got these documents and how they got them. So as we heard in that piece, this isn't just about immigration. There are other issues at play. There are people getting official IDs on their hands and access to the banking system, and we're looking at potential fraud, money laundering, and maybe financing of terrorism. So to me, this is a political agenda driving something that could put U.S. citizens and, frankly, everyone in this city at risk.
What about it, Robert? You go down to DMV and you want to get a license. You got to basically give blood now. I mean, you got to promise them your firstborn. It's like they can retrieve everything about, and it all becomes public record, where you live, all of it. So why should people who are actual citizens be subjected to that, and people who are undocumented be able to just erase all of the supporting documentation supporting that card?
Well, the good news is that's not the case. In fact, in the city of New York, this program is done under the auspices of the Office of Counterterrorism and also under the auspices of the New York Police Department that, in fact, approves of this program, because the documents are not destroyed. Let's be clear. The city keeps a permanent record of every individual's application who asks for a city ID and their most recent photograph. The type of documents that are destroyed are the personal data. Maybe it involves an old passport. Maybe it involves old financial information, issues around that. But I think what really is a danger to our security, what really is a threat to our country, is when we drive these people who are here, granted they're here as undocumented citizens, when we drive them into the shadows, when we don't know where they are. And because of President-elect Trump's rhetoric, threatening mass deportations, even threatening to deport citizens who are here illegally because their parents are illegal, because of that kind of rhetoric, people are hiding. And therefore we don't know who's here in our country.
Donald Trump, I've not always been a huge fan of his, but he has been very clear, especially since he was elected, that the priority will be criminal aliens who came here illegally and then also committed additional crimes.
But he has made throwaway comments that they all
he
have
has.
to go.
No, he has throughout the campaign. So there's some ambiguity about, you know, his official position.
But what about Robert's point, Guy, that it's not going to be, that you are going to be able to get supporting documentation behind these ID cards? It's just not
not for the feds.
Identification.
Not for the feds, and also the information that will be destroyed, pertains to how these people were able to get these IDs in the first place. I think that is significant.
Guy, that's entirely incorrect. They get their IDs by applying for the application and by being reviewed by the New York City Police Department. So they get their, it's a very scrutinizing process, and out of a million
and then the records go away.
And by the way, out of a million who've received it, only, according to your report, 100 have faced difficulties.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't like this program under Mayor de Blasio, and he was on the program, he was on this broadcast not long ago defending it, you may be in luck because he could possibly lose his position in the mayor's mansion, and we'll tell you in the next block why that is. Guy, Robert, great to see you.
Great to be with you.
Also tonight, new reports that Hillary Clinton could be about to run for office again. Can you put the two things together? Have you figured it out? Stay tuned, because Brian Kilmeade has the information, and he really wanted to talk about this. The viral video from a local cat shelter that's too great not to watch. Kilmeade on the cats right after the break.
You ever feel like you just keep going around and around in circles but you never get anywhere? Maybe it's time to adopt a foster cat. Does anyone have a cat I could hold? I mean, we're shooting a commercial. Come on. Come in.
I need to promote my new business and do it on budget.
I can make that happen.
Business cards?
Business cards, brochures, banners.
Pens?
Pens, magnets, luggage tags, bumper stickers.
How about foam fingers?
Like these.
Now get 15% off making your company stand out. Staples. Make more happen.
Oh, taking some time off.
No, I'm scheduling time to go to the bank to get a mortgage.
Oh, you're using a vacation day to go to the bank?
I know, right?
Just go to lendingtree.com. Get up to 5 loan offers to compare side by side for free.
Wow, that's great. Wait, how did you get in my kitchen?
Oh, I followed a raccoon in through your doggy door.
Get a better mortgage on your schedule, not the bank's. Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
Just think of him as a big cat with rabies.
For lower back pain sufferers, the search for relief often leads here. Today, there's drug-free Aleve Direct Therapy,
a high-intensity TENS device that uses technology once only in doctors' offices.
For deep penetrating relief at the source, Aleve Direct Therapy.
A powerful Hannity from the Trump transition to the Obamacare battle. No one breaks it down like Sean. Get expert insight on a must-see Hannity tonight.
Give your bedroom a new coordinated look.
And give your wallet a break. Everything you see here for only $9.99. My $9.99 bedroom's untouchable. Each comes with a dresser, mirror, chest, queen bed, and nightstand. And there's not just one $9.99 bedroom to choose from, but 12.
Traditional, transitional, contemporary, country cottage. That's 12 $9.99 bedrooms.
That's one untouchable price, only at my Bob's Discount Furniture.
How do you become America's best-selling brand?
Breathing, let's go.
You make it protected.
Just trying to be safe.
You make it hard-working. You make it so everyone's happy. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Get 0% financing for 72 months, plus $500 Ford credit cash on a Ford Fusion. Visit us online or see your Ford dealer today.
This year, make a resolution to expand your horizons. Spend less time on social media. And yet, add more followers. Make this year the best one yet. Get a great deal at the Jeep Start Something New sales event.
Whatever it takes, wherever you are, whenever you're in need, we give you easy access to remarkable care. Because she's more than a patient, she's your little girl. Novant Health UVA Health System.
This loss hurts, but please never stop believing that fighting for what's right is worth it.
Developing tonight, a new report suggesting Hillary Clinton's political fight may not be over. A Democratic official tells Newsmax the former presidential candidate is being urged to launch a bid for mayor of New York City against incumbent Bill de Blasio and is, quote, talking about it. Joining me now, Brian Kilmeade, host of Kilmeade and Friends on Fox News Radio and author of Thomas Jefferson and the Tripoli Pirates, the hugely popular. Great to see you, Brian.
Great to see you.
The book, not you. Just want to make that clear. She's back already?
Unbelievable. It's incredible.
What do you mean?
Not only that, according to the story, there's a sense within the Clinton camp that if she stays viable and actually runs for mayor, she'll probably win because Mayor de Blasio is he's underwater. He's not liked. He doesn't really get up early, gets in around noon, works out some more and goes home. If she does run and win and stays viable, and if the theory is if Trump implodes, then she might be primed to get the nomination and give it another shot.
Come on.
For Democrats, this would be sad. They got to stop it. I mean, think about this. Bob Dole, when he lost, he left. When John McCain, he lost, he left. You know, but Donald Trump was going to go. For her to stick around and think like this, it kind of makes sense in that she's showing up for the inauguration, Megan. She had a chance to dip into the background. She walks in the woods a lot with cameras around. This all adds up to possibly.
Oh, you say that's orchestrated. Those aren't natural bump, like with makeup free, like, oh, just being a normal citizen.
Right. She's walking in the woods and people seem to spot her. We'll find out. No, I do think that this is something that she will not excel at, but she might earn.
But you think she's going to be mayor of New York? You think she'd accept? She was a senator of New York. You think she wants to be mayor of New York City?
For a woman with international acclaim and recognition to be mayor of New York City, I think would be a huge step down. But the question is, what
Mayor
is
Bloomberg
her next step?
He had billions of dollars. He didn't have to do it. There's a prestigious thing about being mayor of New York. This is fascinating, so we will continue to watch as she, quote, talks about it. By the way, she won 79% of the vote in New York City during the presidential election, so her chances might look good. There is a new app. You know, people are having difficulty on the left accepting Donald Trump's election, and those on the right think the left are crazy. So tell us about the app.
40% of the country, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, has no interest and can't be convinced that your position is something that is conceivable. In fact, most of the country feels as though if you are a Democrat or Republican, the other party is doing things that will destroy the country. However, that hasn't stopped a 29-year-old Harvard Business School student, 29, stuck in Harvard, obviously getting left back a lot. He came up with
He's a graduate student.
Oh, I had no idea. So he came up with an app
you didn't go there.
that allows people to, it's called Hide from the Other Side, to log on and actually interact with somebody from the other side, Republican or Democrat, and say, hey, I'm pro-Trump. Hey, I'm pro-Hillary. Maybe you can explain your side of the story.
That's sweet. That's kind of sweet. I don't know. It's like worth an effort to try to get a dialogue going because some of these people they've never met a Trump supporter. They have no idea who these people are. It's like, yes, actually, they're normal people. They just want a different thing than you want.
You are so optimistic and sunny and naive, young lady. There is no way this will actually do anything to heal America. I don't know if you've walked outside the tower.
You have no idea what a Pollyanna I am. I'm such a Pollyanna, I wanted to do this segment tonight about this guy and these cats. Watch.
All of our cats are self-cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. 2016 models are compatible with Windows. So how long have you been waiting to get adopted? You like hungry cats? We got some of the hungriest cats you've ever seen. Seriously, we can't get them to stop eating. How are you so small? You never stop eating, fatty. Our cats are very enthusiastic about going home with you. We're practically giving them away. You like black cats? We got the blackest cats you've ever seen. It's like midnight inside a coffin over here. You like big cats? We got the biggest cats you'll ever have. This here is one of the biggest cats you're ever going to see. High five, kitty.
Is that great? You're getting upset.
That's sweet.
That's Paul Preston. He is a contractor at a rental property management company. His sister volunteers at that place for kids. And she says, I have an idea. You're very funny. You do a lot of videos. So do this for me. And then Reddit put it up. And now it's got millions of views. And the goal is, of course, to get the cats homes. And this guy's a mini star.
But the problem is they've gotten some donations, but they're not getting the cats adopted. They still need help. Roughly 300 shelter residents there still all need a home.